A TV anchor is interviewing a hunter. So, about the achievement you just accomplished, clearing that frozen dungeon. What do you have to say? The hunter replies confidently, I have the power of fire. My strength can easily kill those ice monsters. Our MC is watching all of this on his TV screen. He scoffs and says, an A-rank hunter. Huh. Our MC's name is Tsukasa Nonomiya, age 23. He mutters, high-rank hunters really are amazing. Everyone respects them. Then, quietly, to himself, so why don't they respect me? The panel on screen shows his name, age, and skill. S-rank, trap master. Tsukasa thinks to himself, I have an S-rank job too. So why doesn't anyone give me any respect? The scene shifts. We learn it's the year 20XX, sometime around the 2000s. The entire world had begun to revolve around dungeons. Dungeon gates started appearing everywhere, all over the planet. Inside these gates were things beyond human imagination, deadly traps, and monsters so dangerous that fighting them was no child's play. But there was one reason people kept walking into these gates anyway, kept dying for them. The gates held priceless treasures, things worth billions, a cup that never runs out of wine, an elixir that could cure any illness or wound, dragon horns tougher than diamond. Anyone who could claim these treasures could become rich in an instant. Around the same time, people all over the world began to awaken, gaining jobs that granted them unique abilities. Using these abilities, they could enter the dungeons and bring these treasures back out. These people came to be known as hunters, and slowly, the entire world became dependent on dungeons. It became a world ruled by the rich and the powerful, where the weak were crushed underfoot. It didn't matter who you were. If you were a high-rank awakened hunter, you got both respect and money. Tsukasa tells us, I thought if I could awaken a high-rank job, my life would change. And then, I awakened the S-rank job, Trap Master. There are thousands of traps inside a dungeon. If someone can control those traps, they can control the entire dungeon. I was so excited when my job first awakened. But that happiness didn't last long. 2 years ago, right after awakening, Tsukasa went to take the hunter exam. The examiner calls out his name. Tsukasa, now, demonstrate your abilities. Tsukasa steps forward eagerly, excited. Understood. He shouts, trap activation. Nothing happens. Everyone is shocked. Even the examiner looks stunned. Tsukasa thinks, what just happened? The examiner asks, is something wrong? Tsukasa quickly replies, no, nothing's wrong. Let me try one more time. He tries again. Still, nothing happens. The examiner starts to lose his patience. Tsukasa can't understand it either. Why isn't his ability working? The examiner, now visibly annoyed, snaps. What exactly are you trying to pull here? Tsukasa explains, my skill forcefully activates traps. He glances down at his status window, and it finally clicks. His skill only works on real traps, which means he needs to actually be inside a dungeon to use it at all. Hearing this, the examiner gets even angrier. I've seen plenty of people like you, lying their way in here, chasing some dream of becoming a hunter. Tsukasa insists, I'm not lying. Look, here's my status panel. The examiner scoffs. You do realize I can't see anyone else's status panel, and you're asking me to show you mine. At this point, I genuinely thought our MC was here purely to rage bait us. The examiner's temper was already boiling. One more word, and Tsukasa was getting turned into a ghost right there. But Tsukasa doesn't back down. Please, just let me into a dungeon. I swear I'll prove my skill is real. The examiner's face is red with anger now. Dungeons are dangerous. You need proven skill to go in. If we let just anyone through, what would even be the point of this exam? If you don't want to get beaten like a dog by me, get out of here. Tsukasa pleads. No. Please, this can't happen. If I fail, what am I supposed to do? Walking away, the examiner tosses back. There's more to life than being a hunter. Flashback ends. Tsukasa says, that's more or less how I tried to crack the hunter exam. Except the exam ended up cracking me instead. And right now, the job I'm doing is. The scene shifts to a training ground. A fist slams straight into Tsukasa's stomach. He collapses, clearly in bad shape. We're going to call the blonde guy Banana from here on, because a banana is yellow too. Banana grabs Tsukasa by the hair, yanks him up, and says, do your job properly. You're nothing but a punching bag for great hunters like us. He follows it up with a kick that sends Tsukasa flying. and he crashes to the ground. Tsukasa thinks to himself, I failed the hunter exam. But because of how much I paid, I got assigned to assist active hunters during training. Bro, assist is a generous word for getting beaten up. Feels like this was the examiner's doing. Banana says, I still remember, back in middle school, you used to get bullied all the time. And then one day you suddenly claimed you'd awakened an S-rank job and went off to take the exam. That was genuinely hilarious. We learn this, Banana, character's real name is Asanuma, but we'll just keep calling him Banana. He's been bullying Tsukasa since middle school. And whenever he struggles in the dungeon, he takes all his frustration out on Tsukasa under the excuse of training. Tsukasa says quietly, I really am S-rank. That sets Banana off. He drives another kick into Tsukasa's stomach and snarls. If you were really S-rank, do you think you'd be getting beaten up by me right now? Still on the ground, Tsukasa manages. What about our deal? Non-hunters need an entry permit to go into a dungeon. You said if I trained with you, you'd give me a recommendation letter. At this point, I genuinely thought this was some genius plan by RMC. Nobody just gets beaten up for no reason, right? Right? Banana reacts like he'd completely forgotten about the promise. Then a mischievous idea crosses his mind, and he says, I've seen how stubborn you are about this. Fine, I'll recommend you. But first, you need to pass one final test. Banana leads Tsukasa to a secluded spot. There are already several people waiting there. Tsukasa asks, what kind of final test? Banana explains, it's simple. Look, this is the recommendation letter, already signed. Tsukasa's face lights up for a second, right before Banana adds, if you can take this letter from my hand, it's yours. Tsukasa thinks, I can do that. He's a hunter, but surely he won't actually use his ability on someone like me, a non-hunter, right? Right. I wish that were true. Exactly what he feared happens. Banana says, but first, you'll have to get past these two. Two more bullies step into the scene, and it's obvious they're not here for anything friendly. Nothing about this screams, things are about to go peacefully. Obviously not. Tsukasa already knows this. He thinks, these guys just want an excuse to mess with me. But he still holds on a hope. If he can just get one chance to enter a dungeon, his whole life could change. So he agrees. All right, I'm ready for your final test. Tsukasa gets beaten badly by Banana. A hard punch lands square on his face, and he crashes to the ground. Banana leans over him and says, if you're so desperate to get into a dungeon, let me tell you something. The more desperate you are, the more fun it is for me to crush your plans. Right in front of him, Banana tears the recommendation letter to shreds. Furious, Tsukasa lunges at him. Banana slams his arm into the ground and uses his skill, quick stab, driving a knife straight into his hand. The two other bullies watch and start commenting. Whoa, is that Banana's skill? Hunters really are cool. As they all start walking away, Banana calls back. You failed the test. Just give up on ever going into a dungeon. Tsukasa mutters, damn it. Why does it always have to be me? I knew they were lying to me, but I still did everything they told me to, just holding on to the hope that maybe, just maybe, I'd get my chance to go into a dungeon. Tsukasa explains further, non-hunters need a permit to enter a dungeon, and that permit can only come from a hunter's recommendation. If anything goes wrong while inside, the recommending hunter takes full responsibility. I knew Banana would never actually do that for me. Normally, rich people who want to explore dungeons just pay a hefty sum to get a hunter's recommendation. But I'm poor. Relatable, honestly, relatable. As he walks away, Tsukasa glances at a TV screen and thinks, I can't give up. Because I know, if I ever get the chance to step into a dungeon, my whole life will change. That thought alone is what gives me the strength to keep enduring all of this. Suddenly, the sky splits open. A red spark shoots down like lightning and slams into the ground. Everything around it is destroyed. Buildings collapse. Chaos erupts in every direction. Tsukasa barely survives, thrown clear of the blast. He looks up at the sky and sees a massive dimensional portal tearing open above him. He realizes immediately what this is, a dungeon break. When another dimension, the dungeon dimension, merges directly with our own. An emergency broadcast cuts onto every TV screen. The anchor's voice is frantic. The entire world is in chaos. Dungeon breaks are happening everywhere. Tsukasa understands the scale of it and mutters, It looks like the whole world is turning into a dungeon. Right then, a monster attacks and the broadcast screen explodes mid-transmission. The monster is on an absolutely different level. When Tsukasa comes back to his senses, he thinks, if dungeon breaks are happening all over the world, the entire planet is in chaos. This is very, very bad news. Then it hits him. If the whole world is turning into one giant dungeon, can I finally use my ability? He activates his skill. A panel appears in front of him, confirming the skill is working. A slow, unmistakably evil smile spreads across his face. Guys, I think Tsukasa's about to set the whole field up for himself.